2, 1.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Conference on Indonesian Foreign Policy 2019.
Selamat datang di Conference on Indonesian Foreign Policy 2019.
Ladies and gentlemen, please raise for the national anthem of Indonesia.
Hadirin sekalian, dipersilakan berdiri untuk lagu kebangsaan Indonesia Raya.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Terima kasih. Hadirin dipersilakan duduk kembali.
Please enjoy the conference.
Selamat menikmati konferensi ini.
Hello everyone, my name is Lutfi Ramis and my favorite world leader is Tun Mahathir bin Mohamad. Why I love him? Because his bravery in take lead and fixing domestic problem in Malaysia, and also he's so vocal on his values in international politics.
Hello everyone, my name is Danti. My favorite world leader is the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern. The reason why I like Jacinda Ardern is because she was bold and act fast in addressing the shooting in Christchurch not long ago. Also, she was more focused toward the victims and the families involved rather than calling out the terrorists.
Hello everyone, my name is Azlina, and the president that I admire is the South Korea president, President Moon Jae-in. The reason why I admire him is because he is humble, he is brave, he is also one of the peacemaker figure to South and North Korea about the Korean Peninsula denuclearization. He has also tried to improve the East Asia in the world economy, and he have a good vision to resolve the economic and political problem in his country. That is the reason why I admire him. Thank you very much.
Halo, nama saya Vidyati. Salah satu pemimpin favorit saya adalah presiden kita, yaitu Bapak Joko Widodo. Kenapa saya mengidolakan beliau? Karena beliau telah banyak berkontribusi dalam pembangunan infrastruktur di Indonesia. Salah satunya pembangunan jalan tol dan juga jalan layang yang sangat membantu dalam perkembangan perekonomian di Indonesia. Terima kasih.
Hello, my name is Kisko. My favorite political leader is the President of Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin. The reason why I admire him is because his charisma as a president, his discipline against the oligarch, his realistic approach toward extremism and terrorism, and the most important thing is he's loved by his people. Slava. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Percy, and I'm here to tell you the reasons why I love Justin Trudeau. The first thing is He's a living proof that younger generations can also be leaders, not just a leader, but an influential one. And the second reason is I can see him loved by the Canadians. His existence sparks joy in the Canadian community. He's loved by the children, by the elder generations, by the refugees, by the women, by the men. The next reason is I can also see him as a loyal husband and also a loving father. Despite of all the good looks that he chose to stay loyal to his family, and I think that should be followed by the international community. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kumail Bagus Afzal. The leader that I am very impressed is Angela Merkel. Why do I want to discuss about her? It's because I find her to be a very kind-hearted woman. Why do I say this? You can see by the open door policy that she created in Germany that opened many refugees towards Germany's door. Overestimated about 1 million refugees are inside Germany because of her right now. Thank you.
Halo, nama saya Marike. Salah satu pemimpin dunia yang saya kagumi adalah Emmanuel Macron. Alasan saya mengagumi beliau adalah karena beliau merupakan presiden termuda yang menjabat di Prancis semenjak Napoleon Bonaparte. Pada masa pemerintahannya, beliau mengimplementasikan Loi Macron yang isinya untuk memperbaiki keadaan ekonomi di negaranya saat itu. Melalui pengimplementasian Loi Macron, generasi muda saat ini dapat menjadikan beliau motivasi untuk berani melakukan perubahan yang diperlukan dalam negaranya sendiri.
Hello everyone, my name is Corny. My favorite world leader is Donald Trump. Donald Trump inspires me because he is always stand for his faith, even so many people think that his policy is bad, and I like his spirit as the President of the United States.
Perkenalkan, nama saya Keista. Saya mengidolakan Menteri Luar Negeri kita, yaitu Ibu Retno Marsudi. Alasan saya mengidolakan beliau karena beliau mengutamakan kesetaraan gender. Beliau mendapat penghargaan atas kesetaraan gender di UN Women tahun 2017. Beliau juga menerapkan terkait daycare di mana perempuan boleh membawa anaknya saat bekerja dan dekat dengan ibunya. Dan Bu Retno Marsudi juga mengutamakan perempuan agar tetap mengutamakan keluarga karena perempuan tetap memiliki kewajiban di rumah. Ibu Retno berpesan bahwa perempuan memiliki kekuatan besar untuk menjadi agen dari merubah resolusi tantangan di dunia. Terima kasih.
Wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu. Good morning and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sarah Wayne, and it is an honor for me to be your master of ceremony for today's event. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia proudly presents Conference on Indonesian Foreign Policy 2019, Cooling Off the Hot Peace, Strategic Opportunities, and Economic Remedies for a Distressful World. May I have a big round of applause for our conference for today. Ladies and gentlemen, CIFP 2019 is made possible today with the strong support of our sponsors: Indonesia Morowali Industrial Park, Sinarmas, European Union in Indonesia, Bank UOB Indonesia, Freeport Indonesia, Kementerian Luar Negeri RI, Medco Energi Internasional, Embassy of Australia, KMK Group, Cafino, Polytron, Blibli.com, Ticket.com, Embassy of the People's Republic of China, Bank of China Jakarta Branch, Triputra Agro Persada, Taipei Economic and Trade Office, April, Tanoto Foundation, TVS Motor Company Indonesia, Mayapada Group, Sekar Bumi, Star Energy, L'Oreal Indonesia, Pacific Agro Sentosa, Quadra, and our partners, Perth US Asia Center, Milken Institute, Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia, ASEAN Study Center Universitas Gajah Mada, Indonesian Institute of Advanced International Studies, Lembaga Ilmu Pengetahuan Indonesia, BINUS University, Indonesia Scholarship Center, Jakarta Young Diplomat Network, and also our media partners, Media Indonesia, Medcom, Nova, O-Channel, Berita 1, Jakarta Globe, Investor Daily, Metro TV, IDN Times, Global Radio, Koran Jakarta, Pinter Politik, Alenia.id, Now Jakarta, Detik Network, and Liputan6.com. May I have a big round of applause for our strong support from our sponsors and partners. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to begin our conference this morning, without further ado, please give a warm welcome to LSPR Choir.
Sometimes
be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. Darkest words wanna cut me down. Gonna stand up, gonna draw them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is the time to feel like and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, gonna sound a flag, gonna draw them out. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. The beat I step. This is I make no apologies. This is me. This is me.
That is why I announced that the United States is officially withdrawing from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, or INF Treaty. Perhaps
I think could possibly go on, and we could be into another Cold War-like spiral here.
It says it's a ballistic missile defense system that will help defend Europe from attacks outside the Euro-Atlantic area. But Russia and other critics say the new system threatens the stability of the region and could lead to an arms race.
NATO's policy with regard to Russia remains unfriendly and opaque. One could go as far as to say that we have slid back to a new Cold War.
Well, we're in a new Cold War. We've been in a new Cold War at least since the Ukrainian crisis began in 2013. I would date it back even earlier, at least, to the proxy American-Russian war in the former Soviet Republic of Georgia in 2008.
Could it be the start of a 21st century Cold War? And now Obama's going to Sweden and not Moscow
canceling his planned summit with the Russian president, describing the tensions as basically Putin's fault.
But there have been times where they slip back into Cold War thinking and a Cold War mentality. And what I consistently say to them and what I say to President Putin is that's the past. And we've got to think about the future.
There's no question we're in a new chapter of the Cold War with Russia. Russia has been very aggressive. But the only way you deal with Putin is from strength.
Мир стоит на грани холодной, новой холодной войны, а некоторые уже говорят, что она уже началась.
The world is on the brink of a new Cold War. Some are even saying that it has already begun.
Did the attempts in Paris in 1990 with the Charter for a New Europe, it was called the Peace Conference of the Last Cold War, did it fail ultimately in what it was attempting to do?
And that's the undeclared new Cold War on technology, information technology in particular. The decision the last week or so by the US regulators on ZTE or ZTE, now that I'm back in London. Then you've got the retaliatory speech from Xi Jinping saying, we will now go it alone in terms of becoming IT resilient and independent. New actions being threatened against Huawei by the administration, an investigation now underway. There is an undeclared Cold War underway now in the IT sector.
We really have no choice. Perhaps we can negotiate a different agreement, adding China and others. Or perhaps we can't, in which case we will outspend and out-innovate all others by far.
Is the West driven by an irrational fear of China or a lack of confidence in its own ability to compete head-to-head with the world's most populous nation? Or, on a deeper level, is the West plagued by a fundamental misunderstanding of Chinese culture and civilization itself, which leads to a misreading of China's actions and motivations today?
The West does not understand China. That is the great difficulty. Because the West has a belief that it is the universal model, that all modernity should be like Western modernity. And it tries to interpret China through a Western prism, in Western terms. And it can't understand, you can't understand China that way.
Neil Ferguson, to start with China, are we heading for a new type of Cold War between our new two superpowers, China and the US?
Well, it certainly looks that way. It started off as a trade war. You might even say it started off as a campaign slogan of Donald Trump's in 2016. But we're now looking at something that's about much more than tariffs. It's going to be an artificial intelligence arms race or a quantum computing arms race, certainly a high technology arms race. But I think in essentials, it's starting to look alarmingly like Cold War 2.0. The thing to remember, though, is that in the Cold War, there were hot wars in a lot of what were then called third world countries. And what I worry about a little is that as the US-China rivalry escalates, whatever may happen in the hotlands, even if they are stimulated by all this technological competition, there may be some peripheral areas where the competition gets nasty. And we already see one of those, which is Venezuela. Venezuela is one of the failed states of the world as a result of disastrous leftist policies by Hugo Chavez and his successor, Nicolas Maduro. Who has kept that show on the road? Who's kept the Chavista regime in power? That's right, China, with some help from the Russians too. And the United States is now on the side of the revolution that would overthrow Maduro. You know, that's the kind of thing that also reminds me of the Cold War, when it used to be in places like Nicaragua, El Salvador, Chile, that the Cold War was waged. So there could be some places where this is really bad news.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, that video was a sneak peek and introduction of what we will be discussing throughout the conference for today. And ladies and gentlemen, and for those who are attending today's discussion, we'd like to remind everyone to please share your moments with us on social media by posting your photos and your moments. And don't forget to mention at FPC Indo with the hashtag CIFP 2019. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure everyone in the audience should be familiar with our first speaker for today. He is the former Indonesian ambassador to the United States, as well as the former Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs. And most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, he is the founder of Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia. Everybody, please give a big round of applause for Ambassador Dino Patijalal.
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope you can see me. You know, if I'm a bit shorter, I'll be like this. Good. Ibu Menlu yang saya hormati, Ibu Menlu Retno Marsudi, I would like to begin with bad news that in the last 2 days, we lost 2 of FPCI's good friends. One is the passing away of Prime Minister Yasuhiro Nakasone last night, and Ambassador Ichiro is here with us. And just before that, one of FPCI speakers, consistently Dr. Insinyur Ciputra. I would like to propose, rather than mengheningkan cipta, we all get up and give them both standing ovation for their outstanding contribution to Asia and to Indonesia. 30 seconds. Thank you. Order of business is a happy one, which is to wish Ibu Menlu Retno Marsudi a big happy birthday. Ibu, you will see that I left the date of the year empty, so we don't need to know how old you are. Yeah. Good. Let me begin with the FPCI tradition of having a hand up. Yeah, hand up, and please be as honest as you wish. We have only 6 questions. 1, do you think US and China will be best friends in 2020? Hands up, those who feel that way. Oh my God. This is less than, are you getting this? Yeah? This is less than 12 people in the room. Will North Korea give up nuclear weapons in the next 5 years? Still not good. That's less than 20 or 30 people. Will there be World War III in our time? Good. Majority says no. Will President Trump get reelected? So that's half saying yes, yeah? Okay. Will the United Kingdom finally leave EU next year? Oh, this is a very optimistic crowd. Will Russia and Europe develop mutual trust in the near future? Okay, I see about 20 hands there. Will China and Japan fall in love? Okay. And finally, will foreign investors choose Indonesia over Vietnam in the next 5 years? That's everybody. Ibu Retno, you have a hard job ahead of you. So we're here to talk about hot peace, the new Cold War. We just saw the video. And some of you may ask, what is hot peace? And indeed, FPCI is trying to popularize this term. Hot peace is a condition, these are the elements of hot peace. There's zero-sum competition, which means If I win, you have to lose. And if you win, that means I lose. And this is not a good way of interacting among nations. There's geostrategic rivalries between US and China, US and Russia, Russia and Europe, China and Japan, and so on. There's also disruptive power shifts where the United States now feel that China may be overtaking the United States on some important issues of international relations. And this is also marked by high suspicion and low trust. And there is a worrying arms race, which means if you look at the military budget of the United States, Japan, China, Russia, among some of them, you see the highest ever military budget since the Berlin Wall fell in 1991. And there is occasional brinkmanship that we see, and also extended areas of conflict, be it in cyberspace, in technology, in business, and other fields. Right? So this is what we're living in now. The Cold War is behind us, but there is something new coming, which makes peace very unstable and volatile. And this is indeed the consequence of the hard war that we're living in. There is also the economic cost to this hot peace. US-China trade war has so far cost almost $500 billion, and it will continue most probably to cost more. There is a sense of strategic insecurity as a result of this hot peace. Among the major powers, there is less cooperation and more tension. There's more proxy wars and more proxy conflicts that we see around the world. There is fractured regionalism, whereby sometimes neighbors feel more awkward with the neighbor due to this pull in different directions. And there's possibility of more political interventions from different sides. And it's also producing new rivalries. The strategic competition in the South Pacific is rising, in the Indian Ocean, in the Arctic, and perhaps other places. We're also seeing, as a result of this hot peace, growing siege mentality and virulent populism. So it's not just the government that is suspicious and get riled up, but the population also gets entangled and gets riled up, right? So that's the hot peace and the consequences, right? And that's what we are facing at the moment. But I want to tell you that this hot peace is different than the last Cold War. What do I mean by it? Nuclear war is much less of a threat. The West is less coherent than before, and some US allies are even more aligned to China. The main contention is no longer about ideology, it's more about competing for influence. And leaders of the major powers meet each other much more frequently in summit diplomacy compared to the time of the Cold War. And the threat of World War III, as opposed to in the 20th century under Cold War, is almost non-existent today, and that is the good news. And I think the most important difference in this hot peace today is that countries like Indonesia has much more leverage than before. We're not the target like before. Before we are colonized, conquered, exploited, subjugated, and so on. But this time, Japan, United States, China, Russia, Europe, all want to be our friend, right? Right? So we are in a different position in this hot peace compared to our position during the Cold War. The question is, what do we do about it, right? We have this hot peace, In the 60s, when there was the Cold War, the answer was what? Non-alignment, right? Indonesia formed the non-bloc, Gerakan non-bloc, non-alignment with Yugoslavia, with Egypt, Ghana, and other countries. But the 21st century answer to the hot peace is not non-alignment, right? It's something else, right? And I know there's going to be a lot of intellectual discussions and policy discussions about this, but let me suggest some ways. Yes. One is we have to insulate Southeast Asia from the hot peace, right? Secondly, we encourage positive competition. It's good that the US and China compete for trade and tourism and investment, right? We all win that way, but we do not encourage strategic zero-sum rivalry. We need to get closer to all the major powers, but keep in mind, the closer you get, the more you have to maintain balance. Yeah. We have to have a middle power strategy, where if the major powers can't agree, but the middle powers at least can synergize more. We need to keep our moral authority on things when we feel that countries are not taking the right stand on things, on climate change, on this and that. We have to keep our moral stance on them very clear. And it's not just about ASEAN centrality anymore, it's also about ASEAN versatility, which means ASEAN, from its central position, can be active in many fields, can be flexible and have much larger diplomatic space to play with. We have to use regional and international architectures to shape major powers' behavior and reduce rivalry. And we have to hold our partners and major powers accountable to the spirit and content of treaty and amity of cooperation. You know, it's not just a piece of paper. It's a declaration, it's a document, agreement that everybody has signed on to, and they need to behave in a way consistent with it. And we don't hold them accountable enough on this issue. And finally, get used to multiple alignments, which means, you know, on one issue, we may be aligned to the US. On other issues, we may be aligned to China, right? For example, on climate leadership. And on other issues, to Japan, Russia, and other countries. But these multiple alignments, I think, would be important for us to look into in facing the hard peace. So we don't have time for hard peace. Yeah, we are too busy trying to deal with a number of urgent international agendas: climate change, the middle income trap, inequality, terrorism, sustainable development goals, ambitious development plans, and so on. And it is very important for us to get on with those agenda. And why do I say it's important? Look, the 20th century is the bloodiest century ever. Yeah, 180 million people died in the 20th century. That's 1/10 of the population in 1913. What happens in the 21st century is up to us. We cannot let 21st century be a bloody century. And one last point, there's a Harvard professor, Graham Allison, who studied what happens when an incumbent power is challenged by a rising power, right? In other words, what we see today, what happens when the United States is challenged by a rising China. Throughout history, he identified 16 cases where that happened, and in 12 of those 16, that resulted in war, right? So, you know, historically it's quite alarming, but Graham Allison also noted that nobody has a solution so far. They know the problem, they know nobody wants war, they know there's a need for win-win solution, but nobody really has a concept on how to get the 17th case of rising power versus incumbent power end up in a peaceful way. And that is the subject of our discussions today. Thank you very much.
We believe that 40 people have lost their lives who are currently in Christchurch A&E. It is clear that this can now only be described as a terrorist attack.
Out of Sri Lanka, an island nation off the southern coast of India, there are at least 200 people who have been killed, 450 more injured this morning after 8 coordinated bombings across the country.
More than a dozen people have been killed in a terror attack.
The attack began yesterday afternoon when militants stormed the Dusit Hotel and office complex armed with bombs and guns. It was thought that at least one gunman remained on the loose.
Think about the generations and to say we want to make it a better place for our children and our children's children so that they know it's a better world for them and think if they can make it a better place.
There's a place in your heart, and I know that it is love. And this place is much brighter than tomorrow. And if you really try, you'll find there's no need to cry. In this place, you feel there's no hurt or sorrow. There are ways to get there if you care enough for the living. Make a little space, make a better place, heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying, if you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. If you want to know why, there's a love that cannot lie. Love is strong, it only cares for joyful giving. If we try, we shall see. In this bliss we cannot feel. Fear or dread, we stop existing and start living. Then it feels that always love's enough for us growing. Make a better world, make a better world, heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue to our next speaker for today's session. And for our next speaker, I will give you a clue. Our next speaker, she is the first female to be appointed the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia. So without further ado, please welcome Her Excellency Ibu Retno LP Marsudi to the stage.
Shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a time, but I always had a vision. Always had hopes. Had to have hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling. I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had hopes. Mama said, fulfill the prophecy, be something great.
So it's good that I have this new lectern. Otherwise, I will be disappeared by the big lectern. Well, do you know that song that just played for you? This is High Hopes by Panic at the Disco. And the song, of course, that is about hope. Ambassador Dino Patijalal, Pak Ramos Horta, Bapak Hasan Wirayuda, Pak Marty Natalegawa. Pak Hasan dan Pak Marty adalah mantan bos saya. Ambassadors, participant of CIFP, ladies and gentlemen, dan tentunya teman-teman para mahasiswa. First of all, let's give a big round of applause for Ambassador Dino Patijalal for once again hosting the annual meeting of CIFP. And thank you very much for having me here again in this meeting. And of course, thank you very much also for the very lovely birthday wish. I'm still very young, only 27. Well, friends, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to start with the update first from Pejambon, from the Office of Foreign Minister. Yesterday, I was in the company of a number of very special Afghan women. We discussed the issue of women empowerment, how to ensure that no women will be left behind in the future of Afghanistan. And this is part of Indonesia's modest contribution for peace in Afghanistan. And after this opening session, I will be flying off to Dakar for my first ever visit to Senegal, with two main programs in Senegal. First is the groundbreaking of Indonesia's first development project in Senegal, the Gore Tower, a multifunctional building, and second, to speak as one of the panelists in the international seminar on the sustainable development held by Senegal and the IMF. And of course, Indonesia will continue its engagement with Africa. And this morning, early in the morning, I got a report from London with the happy news that Indonesia is re-elected as one of members of IMO Council. Category C, and one more happy news that the Indonesian Supreme Audit Institute, BPK, is appointed as external auditor of IMO. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, we saw the video, and a very interesting question was posed at the end of the opening video. Can we cool the hot peace? If you ask me, My answer is yes. Or at least we must take every effort to do so. Now, does any of you know what lion dance is? And this is lion dance. So this is lion dance. Okay, we stop the video. Colleagues, this is lion dance. Sometimes we call it pocho pocho. Isn't it beautiful? It takes a village to do a lion dance. 1 or 2 persons is not enough to do lion dance. And just like lion dance, it takes a village to cool the hot peace. Indonesia cannot do this alone. We need concerted action. We need the commitment of all countries to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 days ago, I just returned from Busan to accompany President Jokowi at the ASEAN ROK Commemorative Summit. Before the summit, President Jokowi also held a bilateral meeting with President Moon Jae-in and met with Korean private sectors. And prior to Busan, I attended the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting and had a bilateral meeting with the new Japanese Foreign Minister. What was the buzz going around in both Nagoya and Busan? First, everyone is worried about the world situation, both politically as well as economically. Rivalries between or among countries continue to increase, overlapping between geopolitical as well as geo-economic rivalries. What is even more concerning is the emerging discontent in many countries. This could be a sign of increasing fragility within communities. I truly hope that there will be the best exit for these challenging discontents, and that people should always remain at the heart of the solution. Second, anyone is very nervous with the downward trend of the world economy. According to World Bank, the outlook of the global economy has darkened amid the slowing activity and heightened downside risk. The global growth is expected to slow to between 2.6 until 3% in 2019. But colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, now look at our region. I'm happy to observe the positive vibes from our region. Amidst the downward trend, we can still see a bright spot in Southeast Asia and other Asian nations. During the ASEAN Summit in Bangkok, just early November this month, the new managing director of IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, said that ASEAN is a bright spot in the world economy. She also mentioned that the rapid growth and poverty reduction is the product of the global integration and collaboration combined with sound economic policy. ASEAN has steadily increased its contribution to the global growth. In 2019, the 10 ASEAN countries contributed 10% of global growth, pretty much as the same as the 19 countries in the Eurozone. The average economic growth of ASEAN is above the global economic growth. In 2018, the average economic growth of ASEAN was 5.1%. And in Indonesia's case, we are able to maintain averagely more than 5% in the last couple years. Therefore, it was no surprise when I saw the enthusiasm of private sectors from Korea to strengthen the economic cooperation with the ASEAN countries. For them, ASEAN represents opportunities. We must also not forget that ASEAN also means stability. ASEAN was born amidst the Cold War era, amidst so many potential conflict and proxy wars. Today, ASEAN is and remains an engine of stability in the region. Despite the persistence of hot peace in some part of the world, we are also delighted by the current reports of Global Peace Index 2019 from the Institute of Economic and Peace that's stating, Peace Index of Asia Pacific and most ASEAN member states in particular are improving. However, we must keep vigilance on existing potential hotspots in Southeast Asia. And we must also be worried of the real threat of cybersecurity in our regions. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, every development needs a good enabling environment. ASEAN has successfully established such environment for the last 52 years, marked by the absence of any major interstate conflict. Through its norm setting, ASEAN has developed Zone of Peace, Freedom and Neutrality, SOPFAN, Southeast Asia Nuclear Weapon Free Zone, SONFES, and Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, or TAC, as tools to perpetuate peace and security, in which its high contracting parties have reached 39 countries from all over the world. ASEAN-led mechanisms such as ASEAN Plus One, ASEAN Plus Three, and AAS has promoted dialogue and economic interdependence. ASEAN leaders have adopted an ASEAN outlook on Indo-Pacific as ASEAN's most recent effort to project and pursue dialogue and inclusiveness, while at the same time foster a more practical way of working together through various forms of cooperation. Further, Indonesia initiated to host Indo-Pacific Connectivity and Infrastructure Forum next year, mid-2020. It is through this effort and approach that we in the region can best manage our economic integration based on our common denominators of economic development, shared vision of common welfare, and thereby strengthening our collective effort of confidence building and peace building. Indonesia hopes that the RCEP, Regional Cooperation of Economic Partnership, the largest economic integration, could be signed in 2020, hopefully by the 16 countries. A lesson learned from the ASEAN experience: peace can be further promoted and perpetuated through mutual interdependence. Creating economic integration also means creating an effective platform to cool off the hot peace. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, according to several reports, Based on GDP PPP in 2030, China, India, the US, Indonesia, and Turkey will make up the 5th largest economy in the world. This means that is based on several reports. This means that current emerging economies will play a larger role in the future. I'm sure that many questions will arise on whether this will entail a new global order, new global values. For Indonesia, whatever new rule of the game adopted by the new big global players, values such as democracy, promotion and protection of human rights, and rule-based order must continue to be upheld. As such, the big player will not become a threat. I want to repeat, the big players will not become a threat. The big players will be and should be the engine of peace and prosperity. And by that, then the big players, and of course together with the rest, we will be able to convert the hot peace into productive peace. And now my message to the millennial generation that was born alongside of the advancement of technology. I hope that you will use your globalized instinct to support peace and cooperation among nations and economies. To play this great role, to stay competitive in terms of science and technology, and give yourself a comparative advantage. And, of course, without ever losing your faith in diversity, tolerance, and peace that Indonesia embraces and cherishes. So, this is my 2 cents. And I'm sure that all the experts will discuss it further. So, to conclude, it is the commitment of Indonesia to turn the hot peace into productive peace. Will you stand with me and join Indonesia's court to turn hot peace into productive peace? I want to hear louder. Yes. Okay, I'm sure that together we can do that. And I want to close my remark by a song from Tulus. You know Tulus, right? And the title of the song is Manusia Kuat. Manusia kuat itu kita. Jiwa-jiwa kuat itu kita. I thank you very much.
Manusia kuat itu kita, jiwa-jiwa kuat itu kita. Manusia kuat itu kita, jiwa-jiwa kuat itu kita. Kau bisa hitamkan putihku, kau takkan gelapkan apapun. Kau bisa runtuhkan jalanku, kan ku temukan jalan yang lain.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give another warm applause for Ibu Retno Marsudi. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia's newly appointed Minister of Defense, Bapak Prabowo Subianto, has sent his regrets that he could not be here today. Yes, Bapak Prabowo Subianto has acknowledged all of our energy here today, so he has sent a video for us to see today at the conference. Please give a big round of applause for Bapak Prabowo Subianto.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita sekalian. Shalom. Om Swastiastu. Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi, Ambassador Dino Patijalal, Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear friends. First of all, I would like to apologize for not being able to come in person at this great event, this conference on Indonesian foreign policy, as I'm still outside the country in the middle of a task that I'm doing as the Minister of Defense of the Republic of Indonesia. I would like to use this opportunity to congratulate Ambassador Dino Patijalal and his colleagues for their initiative, their active participation, and their promotion of Indonesian foreign policy awareness, and for convening this large foreign policy conference. If I'm not mistaken, this is one of the largest foreign policy conferences in the world. I remember speaking at this event 2 years ago, and I was very impressed with the energy and the spirited discussions from that event. I agree completely, and I really endorse the theme of this conference of hot peace, which is adopted by this conference this year. We do live in a time of volatile strategic developments. The world may not be sliding back to the era of the Cold War, which dominated the second half of the 20th century, but there is no doubt that there is, at present, prevailing in our environment, a new type of competition, which is also marked by possibilities of dangerous zero-sum rivalries. And it seems that this trend will not go away in the near future. I know Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi will brief you more in detail on Indonesia's foreign policy. Let me therefore take this opportunity to brief you on what Indonesia would do on the defense sector. First of all, Indonesia will maintain an independent and active posture in defense as much as in foreign policy. Our defense strategy is a defensive defense strategy. Our defense outlook is a defensive outlook. We have no aspirations to project our power outside Indonesia. Indonesia would like to enforce our independence, our sovereignty, and we would like, of course, to protect our national interests wherever they may be. But our priority is to safeguard the territorial integrity and sovereignty of our country. Indonesia would like to maintain the best of relationships with all our neighbors. We would like to cultivate defense relationships without being tied to or owned by any particular power. Indonesia will not take sides with any of the major competitors in this hot peace. Indonesia will extend our arms to all sides and will welcome any country that extends their arms in friendship towards us. Indonesia will never have any foreign military base for any reason in our territory, and Indonesia will never join any military alliance, as that is our constitutional imperative. As I told the Indonesian Parliament recently, my guiding philosophy is 1,000 friends too few, one enemy too many. Second, Indonesia will actively promote defense diplomacy. Military-to-military relations will be enhanced to improve trust and confidence building. A main focus of our defense diplomacy will be the Southeast Asia region. But we will also extend our defense dialogue and cooperation with the major powers on a case-by-case basis and towards other friendly nations around the world. I do need to stress that our national security doctrine, once again, is defensive in nature. We will never threaten anyone, but we also will not allow Indonesia to be disturbed or threatened by hostile forces. Third, we will increase our capability to monitor, guard, and defend our maritime domain. This means we will continue to develop our naval and our air capabilities so as to be capable to allow Indonesia to be master and protector of her own seas and airspace. This objective is also consistent with Indonesia's global maritime fulcrum strategy. And on the ground, of course, every Indonesian island must be able to independently defend itself. Fourth, Indonesia will continue to modernize our armed forces and to build a professional military that is capable of defending Indonesia from external and internal security threats. I see defense not as a national burden. There can be no prosperity without peace. There can be no peace without security. We will continue to invest in our officers and soldiers and to keep up with the relevant defense technology, which is continually evolving and developing at a very fast rate. I also want to see more of our young officers to be trained everywhere in the world to become competent and confident strategic thinkers, as well as technically competent and professional. Fifth, as part of this modernization, the TNI will develop new capabilities to adapt to the changing times and environment. This is particularly true for our cyber defense. I wish to see Indonesia developing a formidable cyber defense in the region within the next decade. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants, sixth, the TNI will develop capabilities to enable us to effectively deal with and deter non-traditional threats such as terrorism, piracy, transnational crime, natural disasters, and many other forms of non-traditional threats. We predict that non-traditional threats will be quite predominant source of security challenges to Indonesia as well as to many of our neighbors. Seventh, we will intensify Indonesia's peacekeeping efforts. We will add more soldiers from different services to our standby peacekeeping force. Within the next 5 years, I wish to see Indonesia be in the top 10 largest peacekeepers in the world. Eighth, I want to ensure that the TNI will always be a people's military. No matter how much the TNI reforms and modernizes, the TNI was born during our revolution for independence as a people's army, and it will always remain a people's army. That DNA is in our system and will never leave our bodies and our soul. Finally, Indonesia will promote cooperative security, meaning that we will work with other countries to achieve greater security, and we will not achieve our own security at the expense of others. Indeed, Indonesia's security will also mean the security for our neighbors. This is the message I told my ASEAN colleagues and the 8 other countries that participate in the ASEAN Defense Ministers meeting. Namely that Southeast Asia must be strong, peaceful, and resilient, and all the countries can become equal partners for this common security. This is how ASEAN will be able to navigate safely through the dangerous waters of hot peace. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I wish you all a very good conference, and may God Almighty always be with you and your families. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita sekalian. Shalom. Om Santi 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 Om. Nama Budaya. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bapak Prabowo Subianto. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to begin our conference for today, we are filled with treats for every one of you. And now, coming up, we have a special treat for you. Our next speaker is the first Indonesian Muslim female stand-up comic, a passionate advocate for freedom and equality, and she juggles life behind the mic as a comedian and also as an interpreter. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause for Sa'diah Ma'ruf.
On. It's on. Good morning, Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, young people, good morning. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It's such a great honor. I'm very excited to be here. Too excited, I even got a haircut. Like seriously, you can totally tell, right? Yes. And in case you haven't noticed, we are at the final month of 2019. And so, here is a recap of this year. Dun, dun, dun. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, to begin the recap of 2019, Indonesia is a non-permanent member for UN Security Council. Yes, how great is that? Finally, we can share our biggest treasure, our best kept secret for peace around the world. That is to smile even though how furious you are. Yes, that is our greatest gift. I mean, don't you see the last video? Japan, China. US, Russia. China, US. North Korea. Somebody needs to teach these people to smile. Yes. So hooray, Indonesia. One more round of applause led by Minister Retno Marsudi with us this morning. Amazing. Another recap of 2019. President Trump confirmed U.S. plan to withdraw from Paris Agreement, saying, and I quote, "This is a total disaster." I thought climate change is a total disaster. How dare you? Yes. China also has another plan. They cancel two-term limit of presidency, allowing President Xi Jinping to be president for life. Yes, Russia's President Vladimir Putin said, "I thought this is my idea." Yes, and President Trump said, "Can this be my idea as well?" President Jokowi fanatic said, "Can we consider that?" As well, becoming president for life. And we're not talking about foreign policy without talking about Brexit. Yeah. Yes. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Brexit has been the longest divorce settlement that, that anyone has ever experienced. With perhaps the EU and the British seem to still like each other, but cannot decide on how they would do with their money. Yes, ASEAN, amazing. ASEAN is, of course, very happy that we are not arguing about the money that we don't have. Yeah. Yes, and arguing about football instead. Oh, that's not ASEAN. Only Indonesia and Malaysia? Fair enough. Yes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's amazing. Young people are rallying across the world. Yes. Young people are rallying across the world. Boomers thought, I thought they were still babies. It's like, how can they be so angry? Do we forget to change their diapers or something? No, you forget to change your system and your attitude. Yes. Yes, colleagues, excellencies, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, ISIS. Great news. ISIS was finally defeated and al-Baghdadi died thanks to the miraculous work of a dog. You're not following the news? That is a major cancellation of global efforts, my friend. Amazing. And Facebook says that they will run political ads even though it contains lies. Boo! Yes, boo! Arguing that no, users will skip that. They never read our terms and conditions. Just say yes and then continue. You know, women are on the rise. Applause, women. Yes. Women are on the rise everywhere across the world. We have many women's movement. We have #MeToo. Men also have their own hashtag. I did not see it coming. You know, men are so angry that they cannot get away with things anymore. You know what happened with women's leadership? End of war. Yes. I have a yes from Minister Retno Marsudi. Yes. You know what women's leadership means? End of war and financial scamming industry. Yes. Applause, women. Finally, ladies and gentlemen. Amazing. This has been an amazing year for women. Even Saudi Arabia even. Saudi Arabia has finally allowed women to drive because hiring Indonesian and or Filipino drivers are getting more expensive and somebody needs to take the kids to school. Yes. Iran has finally allowed women to watch football on a live stadium because their men probably is busy with nuclear program. Yes, it's been amazing. Indonesia is still at the forefront of fighting radicalism, but is growing much more confused on the definitions of radicalism. Seriously. Boo the comedians. Boo the comedians. How dare you saying this in front of ministers? Yes, although if I have one solution for radicalism and terrorism in Indonesia is that Indonesian jihadists really should stop using guns and bombs because it's too American. and start sourcing for, I don't know, local weapons perhaps, pamburuncing. Because this will definitely earn them a better image, because then they can label their action as eco-terrorism. We hate you, but we love the environment. Have a great conference, everyone. Very good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you and congratulations, Ambassador Dino Jalal. Congratulations, CIFP. Congratulations, FPCI. Congratulations, everyone who are here for peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Saadia Ma'ruf. Can I have another big round of applause for Saadia Ma'ruf, ladies and gentlemen? I hope every one of you was entertained and also had a good laugh from Saadia Ma'ruf. And next, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1996 for working towards a just and peaceful solution to the conflict in East Timor. I invite everybody to please welcome former President of Timor-Leste, His Excellency, Mr. Jose Ramos Horta.
Good morning. It's a great pleasure, privilege to be here. Congratulations, Madam Minister, for your birthday. A month from now, my birthday will take place, but will be celebrated by many more people. Usually tens of millions in China celebrate my birthday. December 26 is Chairman Mao's birthday. But unfortunately, the Chinese in China ignore my name when they put the banners. But by coincidence, my birthday is also the great day of Indonesia's independence, 1949. Although declared in 1945, and China's also liberation year, 1949. Traveling to Indonesia on the 28th of November from Delhi here, I could not think about how the impossible can be possible, how the impossibility can be realized, and how countries and nations, peoples can reconcile and build on the suffering of the past, on the lessons of the past, and build the best possible relationship of any two countries. And being here in Jakarta as guest of my personal friend, Dino Jalal, I was sitting next to Hassan Ureyuda, former foreign minister. I see Dr. Marty there, some prominent Indonesian diplomats that for years we were on different trenches. And today, Indonesia has been one of our greatest advocates in joining ASEAN, an application that has been there for 9 years, 10 years, and we hope to realize soon. I congratulate Dino, my friend, for this great initiative of yours. When I was president, I had the presidential lecture series. I had Lech Walesa. I had a great Indian politician, writer, Shashi Tharoor, coming. And I brought to Timor-Leste Nobel laureates, not only in peace, but in science, in economics, in medicine. And I wouldn't do large conferences. The Nobel Prize in Medicine would meet 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours with students of medicine or medical doctors. For instance, Muhammad Yunus, the Nobel Peace Prize in Peace for his Grameen Bank microcredit, he would meet with our government to advise our government on how to reduce, eliminate extreme poverty, etc., etc. So my initiatives were far, far smaller in scale, maybe the smallest in the world, as this is the largest in the world. But we connect the dots, and everywhere, wherever we can, build peace at home, in our own homes. Peace is not meaningful to women at home who are subject of domestic violence. Peace is not meaningful to children who are terrified in schools from violence inflicted on them by bullies or by the teachers or when they walk home. Peace has to be born in the home, the most sacred of all places. Peace has to be in the schools, the most sacred of all institutions. Peace has to be born in our neighborhoods, the most sacred of living space. Then we go on to the larger community, the country, the region, and the world. Peace is not for people who are impatient. We have to work on it every day, within ourselves, within the family, within the communities. I personally try as much as I can in our country, Timor-Leste, to heal the wounds of the past, but also try to contribute to other countries. Indonesia, I dare to say, this morning I was having a quick breakfast. From the window, I looked down and I saw cemeteries with cross. I asked the waitress, what is that? She said, a hero cemetery. But is it a Christian cemetery? Obvious. A previous visit, I was in Borobudur Hotel. I looked down, I saw a cathedral. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia is still an enclave of peace, of tolerance, of inclusion. Towards that end, this year, I had nominated NU, Nahdlatul Ulama, Muhammadiyah, for the Nobel Peace Prize. They failed to gain it, but it will be so important to recognize the role of these two great institutions in the forefront of Indonesia's efforts to continue to be an oasis, an archipelago of peace, of inclusion, so important for the rest of the region. Terima kasih. Thank you all.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause for His Excellency, Mr. Ramos Horta. And ladies and gentlemen, who is excited for today's event, for today's sessions? Can I hear a big round of applause? And can I see a show of hands who have posted on their social media? Who has posted? Okay, I see many of you have not yet posted, and we would like to remind you to please post your moments from today's sessions on social media by posting your photos, your moments, and also mentioning at FPC Indo. And don't forget to use the hashtag CIFP2019. So please, once again, don't forget to please share your moments, take photos, take selfies of all the events and also all the sessions, and post them on the social media. And next, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue our event. We will know our next speaker, who is coming up right now from several Indonesian box office movies such as Sang Penari and Sekolah Rimba. She herself has won Best Female Lead and also Best Newcomer at Festival Film Indonesia, and also describes herself as a social activist and adventure enthusiast. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Prisya Nasution.
Good morning, everyone. Okay. Okay, I don't know whether it's a bad sign or a good sign. The mic just didn't work on me. But yeah, I just, first of all, I want to say good morning to all great leaders in the house, to Ibu Minister, Bapak Ambassador, and what I'm saying by like great leaders, also to you all, mahasiswa-mahasiswa di Indonesia, because I'm sure you all are going to be a great leader one day. I'm so believe in it. Please welcome my very warm regards to you all. I am grateful for the chance to express my thoughts on the world situation today and what we can do about it. I trust that the immense prestige of this conference will amplify my voice, and this is a very important moment for my generation and me. As we grapple in the world mired in hot peace, what I want to tell you this morning is this: the sky is not about to fall. The human race is not doomed to die in the Holocaust as the great powers attack one another, as we see on the screen just now. We will not be wiped out by the uncontrolled spreads of diseases. We will not perish in the torments of climate change. We can overcome these challenges if we all, the leaders and individuals in the house and also around the world, are willing to work harder to make a world a better place. For the story of human race has always been a struggle against the human pathogens of violence, against the darkness of ignorance, and against the scarcity of goods. If human beings can work together in peace and harmony, if we can acquire enough knowledge and skills, and if we can create the resource needed for the task, we can solve the problem that the world faces today. In this regard, I'm sure there is basis of hopes. Even though the statistic shows that the number of people killed in war has been declined over decades, in spite of the civil war in Syria and conflict in Ukraine, we're living relatively peaceful times. Even the global crime rate is also going down. This impression you will get if you follow the news. Sometimes it's because we're too firmly oriented to bad news. But also, we should not be blinded by the positive sides of reality. As we see today, people are getting angry about things. They're going to the street, protesting here and there. But what they forget is sometimes they forget how to find solution to all the problems. In some parts, we're getting more peaceable. We're also getting better educated. More and more people are able to read and write. Some of it is because governments are spending more money to the schooling of children, and also people, public figures, leaders are more aware that education is actually the basic fundamental items for our next generations. And we are creating more wealth than we ever did before. From 1990 to 2008, more than 1 billion people are lifted from absolute poverty. As nations pursue to sustainable development goals, I hope, and we all should hope, the rate of absolute poverty in 2030 will be 0. Thus, in spite of all threats to global security today, we can still make a better world. We can. Because we are here already in a halfway there. But we need to adopt some strategy that brought us to the level where we are here today. We must continue mastering the art of making peace. Peace within nations, peace among individuals. Because of what? I'm just going to tell you a bit of my story before. I did a motorbike touring from Labuan Bajo to Larantuka, and then across Kupang, and then from Kupang we drive all the way to Atambua, Bapak Ramos Horta, and we see there is no problem between Indonesia and Timor-Leste. And there I'm like, maybe right now we're not the same countries anymore, but we should bring peace to one another. Thank you, Bapak. And we must continue investing educations to ensure that our future generations are enlightened, skilled, and incorruptible. And we must not only to keep on producing wealth, we must also distribute it wisely so that absolute poverty will be a thing of the past. Then we will have a better world. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Menurut aku enggak sih.
Enggak. Iya.
Got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home. We're flying up no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop. And under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well you already know. So just imagine, just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. Come on, all those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling, so just dance, dance, dance. I can't stop the feeling, so just dance, dance, dance. Come on. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. I don't need no reason, don't need control. I fly so high, no ceiling when I'm in my zone. Cause I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop, stop, stop. Under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well you already know. So just imagine, just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. Come on, all those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling, so just dance, dance, dance. I can't stop the feeling, so just dance, dance, dance. I can't stop the feeling, so just dance, dance, dance. I can't stop the feeling, yeah, so keep dancing. Oh, yeah, yeah. I can't stop the. 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 Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. Everybody say. I can't stop the feeling. I can't stop the feeling. I can't stop the I can't stop the
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dancing for World Peace. And with that video, our opening ceremony has come to an end. May I ask for another wonderful round of applause for our speakers for our opening ceremony. And ladies and gentlemen, as the opening ceremony has ended, we would like to inform you that we have 19 parallel sessions that will start 15 minutes from now in 5 different rooms. Sessions will take place here in the main hall and also upstairs in the Curaçao, Aruba, Barbados, and Grenada rooms, and also the FPCI lounge. Aside from the parallel sessions, we will also have fun and interesting booths and exhibitions around the venue. And ladies and gentlemen, we can assure you that you will have a great day and great discussion here at CIFP 2019, ladies and gentlemen. And before moving on to the parallel sessions that will start in 15 minutes from now, I would like to extend the gratitude of the CIFP 2019 committee to all of our sponsors for today. Indonesia Morowali Industrial Park, Sinarmas, European Union in Indonesia, Bank UOB Indonesia, Freeport Indonesia, Kementerian Luar Negeri RI, Medco Energi Internasional, Embassy of Australia, KMK Group, Cavino, Polytron, Blibli.com, Ticket.com, Embassy of the People's Republic of China, Bank of China Jakarta Branch, Triputra Agro Persada, Taipei Economic and Trade Office, April, Tanoto Foundation, TVS Motor Company Indonesia, Maya Pada Group, Sekar Bumi, Star Energy, L'Oreal Indonesia, Pacific Agro Sentosa, Quadra, and also our partners for today's event, Perth US Asia Center, Milken Institute, Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia, ASEAN Studies Center, Universitas Gajah Mada, Indonesian Institute of Advanced International Studies, Lembaga Ilmu Pengetahuan Indonesia, Binus University, Indonesia Scholarship Center, Jakarta Young Diplomat Network, and also our media partners, Media Indonesia, Medcom, Nova, O-Channel, Berita Satu, Jakarta Globe, Investor Daily, Metro TV, IDN Times, Global Radio, Koran Jakarta, Pinter Politik, Alenia.id, Now Jakarta, Detik Network, and Liputan6.com. Once again, thank you for your generous support. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your kind attention and attendance for our opening ceremony. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And don't forget to share your moments throughout all the sessions today by using the hashtag CIFP2019. And don't forget to tag FPCI Indo in all your posts. And have a great discussion and great day ahead.